Assalamu alaikum. We're going to continue with the topic which we started yesterday. It is about level of service and capacity analysis. And yesterday I told you that we will do the analysis for multi highways and freeways together. Okay, because the procedure is the same and so on. So basically, in case of calculating capacity of multi highways or freeways, in both cases we need free flow speed. We need free flow speed. We have already discussed what we mean by free flow speed, and you have collected it for your term projects as well. Now, free flow speed can be calculated, but it can be measured as well. In case of your term projects, all of you have measured free flow speed. Later on in this chapter, I will show you some equations to calculate free flow speed. You will not use those equations in your projects because free flow speed is already measured from the field. Okay, and there is one more phenomena which I have explained earlier as well, I think in lecture 3 or somewhere around that modern drivers are now more aggressive. So they tend to maintain the free flow speed for a higher range of flow as well. So they are saying for multi-highways and freeways, even if the flow gets up to 1000 vehicles per hour per lane, you will not feel any change in the free flow speed of the drivers. The drivers will still continue or strive to continue at their free flow speed. Okay, and this is mainly possible because of, first of all, the aggressiveness of the drivers. Everybody is looking to speed up. So when everybody is looking to speed up, obviously you can maintain a high speed. Secondly, the cars are much efficient and faster. Thirdly, the road designs are much safer and so on. Okay, so there are so many factors because of which the free flow speeds are maintained for a higher range of flow, at least till 1000 vehicles per hour per lane. Like we do not know the exact value. You cannot say, okay, for all highways this is the value. No, for each highway there can be a different value, but it is at least up to 1000 vehicles per hour per lane. You will not feel any change in the free flow speed. Now the procedure which we are going to discuss for the level of service and capacity analysis is dependent upon plotting speed flow curves. Okay, like these. So you have speed on the y-axis and you have flow on the x-axis. Okay, and you plot them and you calculate the capacity and the level of service. How do you do that? I will come back to it. Now in the old manual, these curves were provided for freeways and multi-highways. They are still provided in the new manual as well. But what they are saying in the new manual, that instead of providing the curves, they have given us the equations. One equation actually not equations, one equation. Okay, and you can see the equations here. I will discuss them later on. So instead of these curves, they have given us one equation, and they are saying, okay, use this equation to find out the capacity and level of service for any highway, freeway, multi-highway. So you don't need. So there were like multiple curves. Okay, and one set of curves for freeways, one set of curves for multi-highways. And for each curve, the free flow speed was fixed. Okay, so you have a free flow speed curve of 50, 55, 60, and so on. The problem with those curves was, first of all, you cannot find the exact values. Obviously, these curves are plotted in the book. You don't know the scale. You are, sometimes the figures are compressed, sometimes you are enlarging them. So you don't know the exact scale. So you cannot know the exact values. Secondly, if your free flow speed is not according to the curve, then you cannot use the curve. Okay, so there's a free flow speed curve of 55 and your speed is 56, then the curve is useless for you. Okay, so because of these problems, okay, they have given us the equation by which we can plot the curve ourselves. But the procedure will remain the same. You use the equations and you get the values directly, and then you use the values to calculate capacity and level of service. Okay, so the equations or the curves, they give you speeds for base conditions. The equations and the curve use speed and flow for base conditions. What do we mean by base conditions? I will define later on some other base conditions as well, but there are two important base conditions which you will see, for which you will see the effect in terms of flow as well as speed. The first one is no heavy vehicles in the traffic stream, so only passenger cars, and the second one is driver population is regular or familiar users of the facility. Facility meaning the highway. Facility meaning the highway. So all drivers are regular or familiar users of the highway. Okay, and we call these drivers as commuters. What is a commuter? Commuter is a regular or familiar user. As simple as that. Okay, the commuter is a. I'm not sharing the screen because I didn't know. I'm not sharing the screen because I didn't know that I was not sharing the screen. When this happens, you let me know, okay, immediately. Anyway, so I was talking about this curve. This curve. Speed on the y-axis, on the x-axis. Okay. So I will, don't worry, I will show you these curves later on as well. Okay. So I was saying the driver, another base condition is drivers are commuters, meaning they come to this highway on regular basis, routine basis. Okay, so commuter is anybody who is using the facility on regularly. Okay, there was a movie last year as well with the same name. Anyways, so you can be a commuter for a bus service if you're using the bus service regularly. You can be a commuter for a highway if you're using the highway regularly and so on. Okay. Now, why we have the base conditions basically mean ideal conditions. Base refers to ideal conditions. Why are you calling them ideal conditions? Because in these conditions, you can attain maximum flow. How? For example, if you have heavy vehicles in the traffic, heavy vehicles are slow and they take more space. So flow in the presence of heavy vehicles cannot be maximum, cannot be maximized. The flow can only be maximized if there are no heavy vehicles. So we understand that is the base condition. Drivers, if they are unfamiliar drivers on the road, they are more cautious, slow, and they are making a lot of changes in their driving. They're making a lot of maneuvers, lane changing, direction changing, looking at the signs and so on and so forth. Okay, so in the presence of these drivers, again, the flow will be slowed down. The flow will not be maximized. Okay, so that's why these are the base conditions. These are the conditions in which you can attain maximum flow. Now let us discuss in detail what do we mean by each level of service, starting from level of service A. Now level of service A, as I told you, is the best one. It's the one which you are expecting for the freeway or multi-lane highway. So you are expecting the best one, right? You are expecting, okay, free flow speed or the speed limit is 100. Then I should go at 110, right? So this is level of service A. So in level of service A, you are going at free flow speed and you are not influenced by other drivers. Your speed is not affected by other drivers or anything related to the flow of traffic, because the flow of traffic is so low. It is so low that you do not even notice other drivers. Okay, and the spacing between you and the other drivers is almost 480 feet. I mean almost 500 feet. Okay, which is 24 car lengths. Okay, which is a lot. So you are driving like there's nobody in front of you. The spacing is so much that you do not feel the other drivers at all. And obviously, if you want to change your lane, if you want to make any other maneuver like that, taking a turn, changing your speed, you can do it very easily because you don't feel anybody else. If you have a blockage for a short duration, okay, it will not disturb the flow. In this condition, with this much traffic, if you have a blockage even for a short duration, then you will not disturb the flow. The flow will continue. The flow will continue. Because there's so much space, people will go from the other lane. What's the problem? Level of service B. Level of service B is still, the speed is free flow speed. And this is again referring to the first point I mentioned today, that drivers tend to maintain free flow speed for a longer range of flow. So even in a level of service B, although the flow is higher, but the speed is same as the free flow speed. Okay, the spacing is reduced now between the cars to 293 feet. These are approximate average values. Okay, you don't have to take them strictly. So spacing is almost like 300 feet. You can say like this. Then in this case, you will start to notice and respond to other drivers. Okay, you can still maneuver, make your actions very easily, but now you have to be more vigilant careful about the other drivers. The drivers are now closer to you, so you will start to feel them, right? You start to feel them, and you will start to take more care in your driving. Okay, you may still change the lane whenever you want, but now since the drivers are closer to you, you feel less freedom and you feel the need to be more vigilant and careful. Okay, if you remember the definition for level of service and capacity, which I gave you yesterday, we were talking about freedom to maneuver, comfort, convenience. Okay, so these things cannot be measured in terms of number. So you are feeling it. Okay, and this has been made part of level of service. So when you say level of service B, this is a condition where the driver is feeling more vigilant. Okay, and obviously there are still enough gaps available for to avoid the effect of any minor disruption. Okay, so there are gaps available, and if there is any minor disruption means what? One lane is, let's say, closed for a few minutes. This is a minor disruption. Okay, 1 or 2 lanes. There are still some lanes open. Most of the lanes are open, but some of the lanes are closed or disrupted because for a few minutes, maybe because of maintenance, accident, whatever. Okay, but it will not cause the flow to stop completely. Okay, then we have level of service C. Still the speed is free flow speed. Again, the effect of aggressive drivers maintaining high speeds, but maneuverability is now restricted. Maneuverability is now restricted. You don't have to only be vigilant. You have to be responsive to other drivers now. So if somebody is making a maneuver coming into your lane, you may have to adjust your course. You may have to adjust your speed. You may have to change your lane. You may have to change the lane yourself. Okay, and so on and so forth. And if you are the person who is doing that, changing your direction or lane or speed, then you may have to wait for the other drivers to give you this chance. Okay, so if you are driving in your own lane, no problem. If you are not making any maneuver, no problem. You can still continue at free flow speed. But when you think about changing something in your driving course, then you have to take care of the other drivers, be careful about the other drivers, and you may have to wait for your chance to do that. Okay, so obviously you need more vigilance. You have to be more careful. If you are not, you will immediately, most probably you will have an accident immediately. Okay, and in this case, a significant disruption may result in total breakdown. Breakdown meaning traffic jam, total traffic congestion, long queues, and so on. Okay, but this will be caused in this condition if you have a significant disruption, meaning that some lanes are blocked for longer durations. Okay, so maybe a lane is blocked for, let's say, half an hour or 1 hour, then you will start to see a very long queue because of that. This is total breakdown. Okay, and the spacing in this scenario is almost 200 feet. Level of service D, this is the place where the speed is no longer free flow speed. Even if you are not doing anything, your speed is not free flow speed. If you are, I mean, you are driving in your lane. Okay, so you're still driving, but you will not maintain free flow speed. Even if you are in your own lane, you are driving without any special, you will still not maintain free flow speed. So at this level, the density is deteriorating very quickly with the flow. Density deteriorating means what? Density is increasing rapidly. Okay, so you see, quickly means rapidly. So even with few vehicles added, the density will increase a lot. Okay, deteriorating means increasing. Density deteriorates means density increases in terms of traffic. Okay, and it happens very fast with the flow, increase in flow at level of service D. Okay, because the speed is getting slower now. In this case, breakdowns can occur quickly, even for small increases in flow or because of minor disruptions. Breakdowns, again, meaning traffic jam, long queues, stopping everybody. It can happen even if you have a minor traffic jam or a small increase in flow. Okay. Now, obviously, maneuvering is very difficult. You may still have your chance, but you may have to wait for longer time and make more changes. In this case, your spacing is almost 150 feet. Then you have level of service E, and this is what I explained yesterday as well. The first point, this is the capacity condition, saturation, capacity. Okay, so obviously when you reach capacity, there are no usable gaps. Obviously there are gaps between the cars, right? Cars cannot be one over another. So there are gaps, but they are not usable. Usable meaning they are not enough to make your maneuvers. You do not have enough gaps to, go at high speed and change your lane without doing anything. Okay. So in this condition, even if you make any small perturbations, again now you see they are using a different term here. They are not using the word disruption. They are using the word perturbation. Okay, which is something very minor, very minor. Okay, like throwing a very small stone in the river. Okay, so this is very minor. And what is that? What are perturbations? Routine actions like lane changing, merging into other highways. Okay, merging into other lanes or highways, or ramp or something. These are routine, small, very small actions. But this can still cause a shock wave into traffic. Shock wave meaning like you have a wave, it goes up and down. Similarly, these perturbations can cause the whole traffic stream to stop and then start again. So shock wave basically means stopping and starting, stopping and starting. So even routine actions can cause the whole traffic stream to stop and start. Okay, basically to stop. They will start once you have completed your action, right? Okay, and as I said, even if you have one lane disruption, it may cause a total block down, extensive queuing, very long queue. Even because of one lane disruption, a small disruption in one lane can cause a very long queue. Okay, so small disruption means very like few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. Now maneuvering is very difficult. Okay, and you have to wait for the other vehicles to give you the chance. Now you are dependent upon others. You are no longer finding the gap yourself. You are basically requesting others to give you the gap. Okay, and then you employ this inclined driving strategy, right? You drive in an inclined manner, half in your lane, half in the other lane. Okay, and then once you have occupied the other lane half, then you look at the other driver. Please give me the chance to come to the lane, right? So obviously that poor man can do what? He will give the chance. You already blocked half his way. Okay, so this is what happens in level of service E. We enjoy a lot, and spacing is 117 feet. Now you say 100 feet is a lot. Remember, in level of service E, the flow is still going on. So when the flow is still going on, 100 feet does not seem much. Okay, this is the spacing when the cars are still moving. Okay, obviously after level of service E, we have level of service F. In level of service F, there is no flow. So obviously in that case, the cars are stopped very close to each other. But when the cars are moving, the spacing between them is still a lot. Maybe it is less in Bahrain or in some countries, but normally it is not so tight as compared to standing position. Standing position, your spacing is very small. Okay, maybe 10, 12 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet. When you are moving, the spacing is higher. Okay. As I was saying, you calculate the level of service and capacity using the equation. So this is the equation which they will apply, which they said will apply to freeways as well as multi-lane highways of all types. Okay. Now before going to the equation, you must study this curve. So I've already explained the curve. You see the initial flow, you have free flow speed, and then after that it starts to go down. The point at which the maximum flow at which you can maintain free flow speed is known as break point. So this is the break point. This line indicates a break point. What is a break point? Maximum flow at which a highway can maintain free flow speed, or the drivers on the highway can maintain free flow speed. Okay, so if your flow is break point is equal to break point or less than break point, then your speed is equal to free flow speed. Okay, if your flow, the flow on your highway is equal or less than break point, then your speed is equal to free flow speed. Okay, if your flow is higher than break point up to capacity, higher than break point up to capacity. So you see, VP means the flow. So if VP is less than equal to break point, BP means break point, then speed is equal to free flow speed. And if VP is more than break point, VP is more than BP, but equal to or less than capacity, then your speed will be calculated using this equation. Okay, so speed up to breakpoint is constant, free flow speed. After breakpoint, it will be calculated using this equation. Now what happens after capacity? This equation is only up to capacity. What happens after capacity? Your speed is 0. Because after capacity there is traffic jam, queuing. So queuing and traffic jam have speed of 0. So we don't need any equation for that, and we don't want that condition to happen, right? Okay, now you can see some parameters are used here. Okay, so first of all, they are using FFS adjusted. Okay, so FFS measured or calculated from the equation will be simple normal FFS. Then you have to apply some adjustment factors, which I will explain later on. Okay, so you will use in both cases the adjusted free flow speed. Then the second parameter is C adjusted. C means capacity. And again, you will apply some adjustment factors to normal capacity to convert it to adjusted capacity. Okay, I will talk about it later on. VP is the current flow of your highway. BP is the break point, the point up to which you are maintaining the free flow speed. A is a constant, which I will show you later on in a table. A has two values, one for freeways, one for multi-lane highways. DC, D means density, C is referring to capacity. So density which you can attain at capacity, and it is fixed as 45 passenger cars per mile per lane. Density, maximum density which you can achieve on a highway without traffic jam is 45 passenger cars per mile per lane. So DC will be 45. DC will be 45. Okay. Now you can see they have plotted a line on this curve, and they are pointing 45 towards this line. Okay. So what is the relationship of density with the line on this graph? If you take the slope of this line or any line on this graph, the slope will be speed upon flow rate. Okay, the slope of any line on this graph will be speed upon flow rate. If you take the inverse, it will be flow rate upon speed, and flow rate upon speed equals density. Density equals flow rate upon density. Sorry, flow rate upon speed. Density equals flow rate upon speed. So if you take the inverse of this line, inverse slope of this line, you should get 45. So you can plot a line of any density on this graph, a speed flow graph, by taking the inverse of density as the slope of the line. So 45 is the slope, 45 is the density. Take the inverse, you will get the value of the slope, and then plot a line with that slope starting from origin going to your curve, speed flow curve. And wherever this line intersects the curve, that is your capacity. That is your capacity. Okay. So for any density, you take the inverse and then plot a line with that value as with the slope equal to that value, starting from origin till the graph. Okay, till the curve. And if you have taken the density of 45, that means your line will touch the curve at the point of capacity. Okay, but this is obviously, as I said, if you take the inverse slope of any line on this graph, this will be equal to density. Okay, because density equals flow upon speed. Okay, so later on you will see other why I've explained this. Okay, so first of all, these are the parameters and the equations which they have given us in the new manual. So for the first and the most important thing is free flow speed. Free flow speed is measured or predicted. Obviously, in the class, we will use the equations to predict free flow speed. In your term project, we have measured it. Don't use the equation in your term project. I will use the equation in the class. Okay, or you will use the equation in the exam for solving the problems. Okay, but in your term project, it is measured. Okay, so I will show you equations to calculate, predict. Predict means calculate. Predict means calculate. So I will show you the equations to predict or calculate free flow speed for freeways and multi-lane highways. Then I showed you in the previous case, we need adjusted free flow speed. For adjusted free flow speed must be multiplied by the speed adjustment factors for freeways. For adjusted free flow speed must be multiplied by speed adjustment factors for freeways. Free flow speed equals adjusted free flow speed for multi-lane highways. No adjustment is required for multi-lane highways. No adjustment is required, or they are saying permitted for multi-lane highways. From where do we get this these speed adjustment factors? I will tell you in the next slide. Okay. Now come to the other parameter, important one, capacity. Capacity. So capacity for freeway is calculated using this equation. Capacity for multi-lane highway is calculated using this equation. Okay, and both the equations you will need the free flow speed. Okay. The maximum capacity for freeway is 2400 passenger cars per hour per lane. Maximum for multi-lane highway is 2300. Okay. If the equations give a value more than these, then we will take the maximum one, like the given one, like this way. So if the equation, for example, for multi-lane highways, the equation gives you a value 2400. 2400 is more than the given value, so I will take the given value. Okay, if the equation gives a value of 2250, so 2250 is less than 2300, so I will take 2250. Okay, so you will take the value from the equation or the given value, whichever is less. If the equation value is higher, then you take 2400 for freeway and 2300 for multi-lane highways. Okay, the speed range for these equations or for freeways and multi-lane highways, 55 to 75 for freeways and 45 to 70 for multi-lane highways. Okay, so these equations work for these ranges. So the equations come with some conditions. The conditions are capacity cannot be calculated as more than 2400. If it is, take 2400 for freeways, 2300 for multi-lane highways, and the speed should be within this range. Okay, then we can calculate adjusted speed. Adjusted capacity. Again, for adjusted capacity of freeways, you multiply with the capacity adjustment factor. CF means capacity adjustment factors. And again, you don't need any adjustment for capacity of multi-lane highways. No adjustment is required for capacity of multi-lane highways. Okay, got it? So no adjustment factors for speed or capacity for multi-lane highways. So multi-lane highways is relatively simple, right? Then the other equation is breakpoint. Breakpoint is important for us so that we know should we use the free flow speed or the equation. Okay, otherwise we would not know. Okay, so breakpoint is calculated using this equation for freeways. Okay, and in this equation you are using adjusted free flow speed, so you have to apply the adjustment to the free flow speed and then calculate these put it here in this equation, and you need capacity adjustment factor as well. So you need both adjustment factors for speed as well, so that you can calculate free flow speed adjusted, and then you have to directly put the capacity adjustment factor in the equation. Okay, and this is square. For multi-lane highways, again it's simple, no equation, only 1400. So for all multi-lane highways, breakpoint is 1400. For all multi-lane highways, you can maintain free flow speed up to a flow of 1400 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, then we were using the equation, the value A in the equation. So A is given here, 2 for freeways and 1.31 for multi-lane highways. Okay, so the A factor is given. These are the plots which they gave in the old manual as well as in the new manual. Okay, and I already told you you can use these plots if your free flow speed is mainly the one which is given for on the curve. So if you have a free flow speed exactly 70, you can use the curve, no problem. Okay, the curve is plotted using the same equation, these equations. Okay, so still you can use the curves, but as I told you, the problem with the curve is your free flow speed must be equal to the value given on the curve exactly. Okay, so 66 I don't have a curve, right? Okay, so these are the curves for freeways, these are the curves for multi-lane highways. Okay, and again you can see now different lines. So in the previous curve, the general curve, I just showed you the line for capacity, which was at 45 passenger cars per mile per day. But in these curves now you can see lines for each level of service. And I told you yesterday, for freeways and multi-lane highways, the level of service is dependent upon density. So if you know density, then you can plot a line of inverse of density with the slope of inverse of density on this graph. Okay, so you see here we have a line for density of 11, 18, 26, 35. Okay, these values are the maximum densities for each level of service. So the maximum density for level of service A is 11. Maximum density for level of service B is 18. C is 26 and so on. Okay, so these values are fixed. These values are fixed. You don't have to worry about them. Okay, maximum densities at each level of service are given in highway capacity manual. They have just plotted these lines. So how did I plot this line? 11 was the maximum density at A. I will show you the table just now in the coming slides. So maximum density at A was 11. You take the inverse of 11, you will get the slope of this line. Then plot a line starting from origin with the slope onwards. From origin onwards, plot a line which has a slope equals to inverse of 11. Similarly, plot a line which has a slope of inverse of 18. You will get the line for level of service, limiting level of service B, and so on. Okay, so you do this for the freeways as well as the multi-lane highways. So these are the densities. Okay, so the same values which I was talking about. So 0 to 11 is level of service A, then more than 11 to 18 is level of service B, till 26 C, and so on. And 45 is a capacity. 45 is the capacity. When you exceed capacity, you reach level of service F. When you exceed 45, you reach level of service F. Okay. Then for the graphs, the curves which are plotted, they have given me maximum service flow rates as well. And this is something which I defined yesterday. Maximum service flow rate is the service flow rate is the maximum flow rate you can achieve to maintain a specific level of service. Okay, so the maximum service flow rate, while your free flow speed is 75, maximum service flow rate for A with a free flow speed of 75 is 820. Maximum service flow rate for level of service B with free flow speed of 75 is 1310, and so on. Okay, so these are for freeways and these are for multi-lane highways. How did I get these values? Again, using the speed flow curve and using the lines which I have plotted of the densities. Okay, for example, come here. This is more clear. Okay, so the maximum density for level of service A is 11. Take the inverse of 11, you get the slope of the line. Okay, then plot a line which has that slope starting from origin going to your curves. Okay, let me come here. So we have a curve of 75 here, and this is a line which has an inverse slope of 11. Okay, which has an inverse slope of 11. So you plot this line from the origin towards a curve of 75 miles per hour free flow speed. Now wherever this line touches the curve, you find out the flow. So this line is touching the curve at this point. So what is the flow at this point? 820. This is approximately 820. Okay, then you do the same thing with the line of level of service B. For level of service B, the maximum density is 18. Take the inverse of that, plot a line using that slope, and wherever the line touches your curve, that will be the maximum service flow rate for B. Okay, and C and D. Okay, and obviously the line will be touching different curves. So if it is touching the curve of 75, you get the maximum service flow rate for 75. If it is touching the curve of 70, you get the maximum service flow rate of 70, and so on. Okay, so you using the equation, you can plot your own curve. The equations which I showed you, these equations, you can plot your own curves, and then you on your own curves you can plot these lines of density, and you can get your own maximum service flow rates. So they have given us few curves and few values just as a sample. Like I said, if your free flow speed is 74, then these curves and these lines do not mean anything to you. Then you will plot your own curve and find out your own maximum service flow rates. Okay, now adjustment factors are required whenever you do not meet the base conditions. Adjustment factors for speed and capacity are required when you do not meet the base conditions. What are the base conditions? I showed you two in the previous slides. One was no heavy vehicles. Now for the effect of heavy vehicles, the adjustment factor is not applied on speed and capacity. The adjustment factor is applied directly on the flow. So you do not see it here. In this slide, you do not see the adjustment factor for heavy vehicles. Why? Because the adjustment factor for heavy vehicle is not applied to speed and capacity. It is applied directly to the value of flow. Okay. So we will consider it later on. For speed and capacity adjustment factors, these are the base conditions. So good weather, no incidents or accidents, no work zones, and motorists who are regular and familiar, which I've already talked about. Good weather means good light conditions, no extreme rain, no extreme snowfall, no fog, and so on. Good visibility and so on. Okay. traffic incidents or accidents, mainly accidents are there. Okay, incidents can be one car is stopped in the middle of the road or something like this. Okay, work zone means maintenance and construction activities. Work zone means maintenance and construction activities. Okay, so no work zones means no construction or maintenance activity is happening on your road right now. And then drivers are commuters, regular familiar users of the facility. Okay, then which adjustment factor you require for which condition? This is the table. So for weather, you need to adjust capacity as well as speed. So CF and SAF both are yes. CF means capacity adjustment factor, SAF means speed adjustment factor. So you need to adjust speed as well as capacity for weather. For incidents, you only need to adjust capacity. The speed is not required to be adjusted. So no adjustment factor for speed for incidents. Driver population. Driver population is for this condition. Whenever we use a driver population, we mean the adjustment factor for driver population, we mean the adjustment factor required for familiar and regular users of the facility. Okay, so driver population is pointing to the condition of the familiarity and the regularity of the drivers. Okay, so do not get confused with the difference of terminology. Driver population are motorists. Driver population means motorists. Okay, so we need adjustment factor for driver population for speed as well as capacity, and for work zone again we need adjustment factor for both cases. If you are meeting the base condition, then adjustment factor is not required automatically, right? If there is good weather, then you don't need to adjust speed and capacity for good weather, right? Good weather is a base condition. Okay, adjustment factor is required for when you do not meet the base condition. So if you have good weather, then the adjustment factor for weather will be 1. If you have no incidents, then the adjustment factor for incidents will be 1. If you have no work zones, same thing. If we have drivers who are regular and familiar, then the driver population factor will be 1. The adjustment factor is required whenever you do not meet any of these base conditions, and adjustment factors will be applied to speed and capacity except for incidents, which is not applied to speed. So we do not need any adjustment factor for incidents on speed. Okay, so we have for capacity we have 4 adjustment factors. We have for speed we have 3 adjustment factors. Okay, because for speed we don't have the adjustment factor for incident. Now we need to combine them because I showed you in these equations we are using one adjustment factor. See, CF and SAF. CF and SAF. So I need to combine these 3 and 4 values into one single value. So for combining, we will multiply. So take all the adjustment factors for different conditions and then multiply them to get the combined adjustment factor for capacity as well as speed. So in capacity, you will combine 4 factors. In speed, you will combine 3 factors. And again, if you have met any of the base condition, then the factor will become 1. So if the driver population is familiar, then the driver population factor for both cases will be 1. So you multiply with 1. Okay. So CFW means capacity adjustment factor for weather. CFI means for incidents. CFDP means for driver population, and CFWZ means for work zone. And same thing for speed. So these are the adjustment factors for capacity for weather conditions. So you can see they have defined the weather conditions. If it is normal weather, then you have adjustment factor of 1, as I said. Now, then the weather conditions are defined in terms of words as well as in terms of numbers. Okay, so medium rain means what? When the rain is more than 0.1 to 0.25 inch per hour. Heavy rain means what? When the rain is more than 0.25 inch per hour. Okay, same thing for snow, light medium snow, heavy snow. Okay, cold weather. So cold means what? Visibility, low visibility means what? When you can see up to this range. Very low visibility means when you can see up to this range. Okay, so if you do not know, if somebody doesn't know what we mean by medium rain, so definition of medium rain is given. Okay, in terms of numbers, so you can measure the rainfall and you can see which type of rain you have. Same thing with snow and visibility and so on. Then you pick the unadjusted free flow speed and you get the value of the adjustment factor. So if you are, again, why we are using unadjusted? Because we are still calculating the adjustment factors. So if you do not know the adjustment factor, how can you have adjusted free flow speed? So these tables are using the unadjusted values. Okay, these tables are using the unadjusted values, You pick the value of the adjustment factors, apply them, then you will get the adjusted values for speed and capacity. Okay, so if your free flow speed is 60 and you have heavy rain, then your adjustment factor is 0.88. Okay, and if your speed is between these two values, you can interpolate. If your speed is, let's say, 62, then you can interpolate between 60 and 65 to get the value for 62. Okay. So the previous table, this table was for capacity adjustment factors for weather, and this one is for the speed adjustment factors for weather. Okay, and again you have the same structure. Okay, you need the weather condition, you need the free flow speed, and you have the adjustment factor. And for normal weather, the factors are 1. Capacity adjustment factors for incidents. Okay, and for speed we will not have any adjustment factor for incidents. I already explained it. So for finding out the adjustment factor for incidents, you must know how many lanes you have. Do you have any incident or not? First of all, define this. If you don't have any incident, then your adjustment factor is 1. I already told you. If you have an incident, then what is the effect of this incident? If the incident resulted in closing the shoulder only, then the adjustment factor is this. If the incident is in 1 lane, then the adjustment factors are these. If it is 2 lanes closed, then these, and so on. And then you must know how many lanes are there originally, how many total lanes you have, and then you will look at what is closed because of the incident. Okay, now you can see it starts from 2 lanes. Why? Because we are talking about freeways and multi-lane highways. So for freeways and multi-lane highways, you should at least have 2 lanes. If you have less than 2 lanes, you will not call it a multi-lane highway or a freeway. And you can see for 2 lanes, for example, closing 2 lanes is non-applicable. Why? 2 lanes, you can have an incident which closes both the lanes. But if both lanes are closed, that means the road is not working. Done, your work is done. No need for calculating anything. If the road is not working, it's completely blocked. Why you are doing the analysis, right? So for 3 lanes, again you can see 3 lane close is non-applicable and so on. Okay, and you can go up to 8 lanes as well. I don't think you will have highways which are going up to 8 lanes in each direction. Okay, and then this is the adjustment factor for capacity and speed according to driver familiarity, driver population. If all drivers familiar, the adjustment factor is 1, right? Mostly familiar, mostly means more than 50% are familiar. Then these are the adjustment factors. If there's a balance of familiar and familiar, like they are 50-50 almost, then you will use these. Mostly unfamiliar, that means less than 50% are familiar. Most of them are unfamiliar, that means less than 50% are familiar, then you will use these factors. If all of them are unfamiliar, use these factors. Okay, if all of them are unfamiliar, then use these factors. Okay, so you can see the maximum is 1 and the minimum is 0.85 or 0.86. Okay, even with all unfamiliar drivers, the minimum value is 0.85 and 0.86. For work zone effect, we have to perform a series of calculations. For calculating the adjustment factor for the work zone, we have to perform a series of calculations. Okay. So first of all, you have to find out lane closure severity index, LCSI. Lane closure severity index, LCSI. There's an equation given in the book for that, but there's a table. There was a table as well, so I have just picked the table. Okay, you can see the equation in the book. So to calculate LCSI, to find out the value of LCSI, first of all, find out how many lanes you have normally and how many lanes are open after the work zone. So work zone has resulted in closing few lanes. The construction maintenance activity has resulted in closing few lanes. So how many lanes are now open with the work zone? Okay, so you have 3 lanes, all 3 of them are open, and so LCSI will be 0.33. Okay, this is open ratio. You don't have to calculate it because the value is already given in terms of n and n naught. But open ratio is basically the ratio of n naught upon n. Lanes open through work zone and normal lanes open. Okay, n naught upon n will give you open ratio. Okay, but you don't need to worry about it. If you know the n naught, how many lanes are open in the work zone and how many lanes were open before the work zone, you can get LCSI. Okay, so there were 4 lanes normally, but 1 lane is closed because of work zone. SCSI would be 0.44. Okay, and so on. Then you have to calculate Q discharge rate, which is this equation, Q discharge rate. So in this equation, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factors. First one is LCSI, which you will get from this table. Second one is a barrier. So when they are doing some work, they will protect the work zone from the lane by having some barrier. So if you go to the driving school, in front of the driving school where they are doing some work, they have put plastic barriers there. Okay, so if you are using a plastic barrier, then FBR will be 1. If you are using concrete barrier, it will be 0. FBR will be 0 for concrete barrier. For all the barriers, it will be 1. And we are talking about barrier between the work zone and the lane. Barrier between the work zone and the lane. FA is the adjustment factor for area. Area can be rural or urban. If it is urban area, factor will be 0. If it is rural area, the factor will be 1. Then we have factor for lateral distance. Lateral distance between the barrier and the lane. The barrier of the work zone and the lane. How much is the distance left between the barrier and the lane? If there is no distance, then F will become 0. Otherwise, whatever the distance, you will put it as F value. Okay, F value for the lateral distance. Then we have FDN, which is the adjustment factor for day and night. Adjustment factor for day and night. So if you are doing analysis for day conditions, this factor will be 0. For night conditions, okay, these values are written here. I'm not just saying it. These values are written here. Okay, so calculate Q discharge rate. Then you will calculate the capacity of the work zone. Capacity of the work zone. So in capacity of the work zone, you will use Q discharge rate upon 100 minus alpha work zone into 100. What is alpha work zone? Alpha work zone is the reduction in capacity because of work zone. Reduction in, or the rate of reduction in capacity because of work zone. Rate of reduction in capacity because of work zone. And it's 13.4%. Normal value for alpha is 13.4%. So again, you can take it as a constant. When you want capacity adjustment factor for work zone, this is what you will do. Capacity of work zone upon normal capacity. Capacity of work zone upon normal capacity. Capacity of work zone will come from here. And for normal capacity, I've already showed you the equation in the table. Remember, I showed you the table for multi-inhabitant freeways. You will take it from there. For free flow speed of the work zone, you will have this equation. Okay. So again, you can see some factors. FSR, factor for speed ratio. Factor for speed ratio. Speed limit normal, speed limit in the work zone. So FSR is a ratio of speed limit before work zone, speed limit in the work zone. SL is speed limit. SL means speed limit before the work zone. SLWZ means speed limit in the work zone. So you take the ratio, you get FSR. SLWZ, I already told you, speed limit in the work zone, whatever is the value. LCSI, you will get from the previous table. FBR, the factor for barrier, and barrier is concrete, it will be 0. For anything else, it will be 1. Factor for day and night. Okay, again for day it is 0, for night it will be 1. TRD means total ramp density. TRD means total ramp density. I will give you the detailed definition later on in the next class. But TRD, just for the sake of explanation, total ramp density means number of ramps per mile. So count number of ramps on the highway and then divided by the length of the highway. You will get ramps per mile. So TRD will be ramps per mile, and you will count number of ramps divided by the length of the highway. You get TRD. Okay. Then how do you get the adjustment factor for speed for work zone? The free flow speed calculated from this equation upon normal free flow speed, unadjusted free flow speed. Okay. Free flow speed of the work zone upon unadjusted normal free flow speed. You get that speed adjustment factor for work zone. Okay. So capacity adjustment factor for work zone, capacity of work zone upon normal capacity, speed adjustment factor for work zone, free flow speed of work zone upon normal free flow speed. Okay. Let us quickly go through an example. Okay, because I just want to do it when the thing is fresh in your mind. We have a long-term work zone on a freeway. The freeway has 8 lanes. Now I told you 8 lanes means 4 in each direction. They will always give you total number of lanes for both directions. So 8 lanes means 4 lanes in each direction. 2 of them are closed because of this maintenance work. The freeway has a free flow speed of 70. This is normal. Work zone is delineated by concrete barrier. Okay, and the concrete barrier is 0 feet from the travel lane. Work zone is in a rural area. Okay, critical operation is during the day, so we are doing the capacity analysis for daytime. Speed limit through the work zone is 45. Speed limit for the freeway is 70. So before the work zone 70, in the work zone 45. Total ram density 3 rams per mile. We have to find out the capacity and free flow speed of the work zone. Okay. So first of all, I will find out LCSI. It has 4 lanes, 2 of them are closed. So 2 of them are open, right? So 4 lanes, 2 open. So LCSI is 1. LCSI is 1. Then you calculate Q discharge rate. So I put LCSI as 1. Concrete barrier, so FBR will be 0. Rural area, so FA will be 1. No lateral distance between barrier and lane, so F late will be 0. And FDN, we are doing the analysis in the daytime, so FDN will be 0. Okay, let me show you the, see, this is LCSI. There is a factor for concrete barrier, factor for lateral distance, factor for rural area, and the factor for day and night conditions. So the Q discharge rate is 1760 passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, and the capacity will be QDR upon 100 minus alpha into 100. So alpha is 13.4, QDR is this one. So capacity of work zone is 2032 passenger cars per hour per open lane. So in one open lane, you can have a flow of 2032. I have 2 open lanes, right? So in 2 lanes, the total flow is 4062. Total capacity is 4062 passenger cars per hour. Okay. Then for the speed equation, first of all, I will find out the ratio of the speeds. Speed limit before work zone 70, speed limit in work zone 45. Okay, so the ratio is 1.56. Speed limit work zone 45. FBR is 0, right? Total ram density is given as 3. Okay, now if you apply this, so this is the factor for speed ratio. This is the speed in the work zone. This is the factor for what was it? LCSI, sorry. So this is LCSI, which is 1. Then factor for barrier, which is 0. Factor for daytime, which is 0. And 3 is the total ram density. So the free flow speed for the work zone is 55.3 miles per hour. 55.3 miles per hour. Now, if you take the ratio of this speed with normal free flow speed, and if you take the ratio of this capacity of our normal capacity, you will get the adjustment factors for each thing, okay, for each item. You cannot do it in this example because we do not know the normal speed, normal capacity, and we do not know the normal free flow speed as well. Now you would say they have given us free flow, the speed limit, normal speed limit. Keep in mind, speed limit is not always equal to free flow speed. The speed limit is not always equal to free flow speed. Okay, speed limit and free flow speed can be two or are two different things. Speed limit and free flow speed are two different things. Don't take free flow speed as speed limit. Okay. So you cannot calculate the adjustment factor for these examples because then we need normal capacity and normal free flow speed. Okay, I'm going for the attendance. I already read. Dua Rabi, Amna Muhammad, Muhammad Usama. If you see your name, and Amal Abdullah. If you see your name, raise your hand. If you see your name, raise your hand. Amna Usama Amal. Okay. Muhammad Noman, Ali Muhammad, Hakima Ali, Zahra Sayyed. Noman, Ali Muhammad, Hakima Ali, Zahra Sayyed. Noman, Zahra Sayyed, Hakima Ali, Ali Muhammad. Okay. Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, Nujur Salah, Nadine Hussam, Zahra Riyad. Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, Nujur Salah, Nadine Hussam, Zahra Riyad. If I marked you, you can leave. If I marked you, you can leave. Nujur, Nadeem, Zahra Riyad, Abdul Rahman Ibrahim. Okay, fine. Abu Bakr Ghani, Zainab Ali Ahmad, Mariam Abdul Amir. Abu Bakr Ghani, Zainab Ali Ahmad, Mariam Abdul Amir. Abu Bakr, Zainab. Okay. Maryam Masht Bashar Asil Hassan Ali Mustafa. Maryam Masht Bashar Asil Hassan Ali Mustafa. Maryam Asil Ali Mustafa, Laila Ahmad, Hamad Khalid, Abdullah Usamuddin. Ali Mustafa, Laila Ahmad, Hamad Khalid, Abdullah Usamuddin. Laila is here, okay. Hamad Khalid, Abdullah Usamuddin, Latifa Ahmad, Fatma Abdali. Hamad Khalid, Abdullah Usamuddin, Latifa Ahmad, Fatma Abdali. Latifa is here, Fatma is here. Zainab Abdali, Zainab Abdul Al, Ala Salman, Isra Abdul Karim. Zainab Abdali, Zainab Abdul Al, Ala Salman, Isra Abdul Karim. Hamad, Zainab Abdul Al, Zainab Abdali, Isra Abdul Karim. Okay, Hamad, mark you. Ala Salman, Ali Abdul Razak, Elizabeth N. Ala Salman, Ali Abdul Razak, Elizabeth N. Ali Makki. Ali Makki. Okay. Going to section 2 now. Oh, sorry, section 1. Section 1. People from section 1. Fatma, Sarah, Jabir, Hajar. Okay, Huda, Dana Isa, Khalid Qasim. Okay, so Mariam, I think I didn't mark you in section 2. Let me do it. Okay, I think everybody else is done. You can go. Mariam, you can leave as well. I will mark you. Thank you. See you guys tomorrow, inshallah.